one of you, I'm not sure which one it was, but they mentioned a guy named Andy sharing with Tom and Tom's knock on the door on page 111 and 112. He heard a knock on the door, gets up, nobody's there. Who had that story?
Yeah, so this was a student. So in other words,
Okay.
I've told you we've done these evangelism seminars for the last 8 years with Knox Fellowship, Asbury Seminary. One of the students shared this story from his work. This is a person that he'd been sharing with and connecting with at his work. And in this class, we asked them to start praying intentionally for a list of people that are in their daily orbit. In other words, God has brought them into relationship. Mm-hmm. So keep trying to cooperate with God's work by praying, listening, connecting, which I think is a really good posture in order to be an evangelist, which I think is a good image for evangelism versus the person who's talking a lot, shoving it in their face. So it turns out that God intervenes, right? So God wakes this guy up at night. He hears a knock on the door. There's nobody there at all. And then he decides to open the Bible. And he just turns it to the spot where it says, Jesus says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. And this guy's totally floored. So really easy for that coworker to now share the gospel with him because God has already interceded in an answer to his prayer in a way that he would never anticipate. But it was a great encouragement to me because what we're saying is in evangelism, we're really catching up on the conversation that God is having with people, however it may come. It may come at night through a dream. It may come on a bus stop talking to somebody. It may come in the middle of the night, there's a knock on the door. We don't know. But listen and get in conversation so that you can hear that conversation and then move that towards Christ.
I just got to say, if I was the guy that had the knock on the door, I'm not picking up the Bible. I'm checking the security. I'm like, the doors are locked. And then I'd be even more freaked out. And I mean, I don't know. I heard that story and I was like, okay, what? Like, what just happened with all of that? But I have a question for you because you mentioned this description in the book and I had to go, what is that? You said, and I wrote, what is clapping the door? You mentioned it's the Brazilian tradition of knocking. What are we talking about right here?
Yeah, that's just an easy one for our region of Brazil. When someone would come to the house, because a lot of the houses are very simple, they would just stand outside and clap their hands. And so that's just to respect people's privacy, and then you just let someone know that you're there. So just because a lot of the houses are it's just a tradition, and so it's very, very common.